You just start the, are we on?
Yep, we're ready. Yep.
Thank you, Kathleen. County Sullivan, IDA, Industrial Development Agency, I'd like to bring the meeting to order at, 11. Why am I?
Hold on. The first one was practice.
Good.
Let me know when I can do roll call. Yeah,
All right, we're good now.
okay. Howard,
Present.
Scott,
Present.
Sean Brooks, absent. Ed?
Yeah.
Kathleen? Myself here. And Joe, absent.
Great. So on July 13th, we had a regular meeting. I need an approval if everybody read the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Kathleen, Ed, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that's carried. How about bills and communications? Do we have anything?
So there is a schedule of payments in your agenda packet. There are no revisions. So we have for your approval, 9 payments in the total amount of $41,595.30.
Ed moved it. Second?
I got it.
Scott, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And so that's carried. Staff report, is there anything different?
No updates.
Okay. Our first, actually, do we want to have a presentation? So our first order of business is a presentation from the Hudson Valley Agricultural Development Corporation. Scott, great.
Thanks, Howard. So I brought these handouts. I'm just giving to you guys as hard copies. We can make sure and anyone has it for PDFs and records. But we always kind of kick these conversations off with a big thank you and recognition that, you know, Hudson Valley Agribusiness has been around since 2007. We're a product of a study that was funded by the Dyson Foundation, but actually was implemented by American Farmland Trust, looking at the challenge of agriculture, the challenges of the food system in the Hudson Valley and kind of the greater upstate New York area. And we were founded in the idea that we help fill a niche for community and economic development. And we work very closely with county resources like the cooperative extension offices, like the traditional economic and community development arms, whether it's the IDA, the EDC. And the finding of the study and our implementation of it, and Sullivan County's core partnership as one of the contracting counties, you know, falls into these 4 ideas. One, that there's an entity that supports agriculture in the food system with resources that are equivalent to an IDA or an economic development corporation, but beyond really what cooperative extensions do directly on the ground with production and some of the education that they provide. And so we fill in that gap. 2, we actually develop a repertoire of expertise with that. So we have 1099 relationships, contractors, different state level relationships. I mentioned not only Cornell Extension, but Cornell Mothership. And that allows us to really have almost an old school Rolodex that we can rely on. When you need an electrician on a building project, you need to look at what your options are for electricians. We do the same thing with food safety experts, attorneys that work directly in generational transfer, experts that look at strategy for jumping into different product lines for value add production on a farm, or a food company that wants to source from Sullivan County or Hudson Valley products. And then really helping those counties with strategy. So Sullivan County's Ag and Farmland Protection Plan actually dovetails with Orange County's update, Dutchess County's updates. We're working with Ulster County. So we're all working in an ecosystem. And then lastly, and where we really work closely with you guys, is also loans, capital, whether it's grants that have to be reimbursed, you need working capital to get it done, or actual traditional capital that funds a piece of equipment, has an amortization schedule. And so we've actually partnered with you guys on that as well. And we have the loan with Murray's for the equipment and the update for the pollution controls. But what we highlight in this is really just kind of those themes. So we have our incubator without walls. That's the technical assistance, the expertise that we bring to the table. And we actually partner directly with Sullivan County Cooperative Extension on some beginning farmer and food system work. So you can see in there, we worked with over 40 businesses or 50 businesses over the years and continue that kind of rotation as they come in and plug it into our system. We actually have the loan program, and I mentioned Murray's, but that's available to partner with the Sullivan County Loan Funds. You guys are unique in that you have capital to work with your businesses. Many of the counties that we're in don't. And so they actually look at Sullivan as a model sometimes. And so we try to partner with you and fill in where it makes sense and can backfill if there's a gap from the locally sourced funding programs here. The Hudson Valley Bounty Program, you can see there, and then we have some examples in the follow-up pages. That's actually trying to connect not only consumers that want to eat and be customers directly in restaurants, shops that are sourcing from Hudson Valley Farms and Sullivan County, Delaware Valley Farms, but then also for businesses that want to find those relationships. So whether it's someone trying to do value add processing like salsa or pickles, where they can source the actual raw ingredients from local farms, or whether it's local farms trying to find products to fill in at their farm stands or in their retail locations. And so we have some examples of that. And then the last thing is the Feed HV program on here. And for us, that's a program that we started with Hudson Valley Community Foundations. They were trying to eliminate waste going into landfills that was still consumable food that could actually get on plates of food insecure families. And so we worked over time to create really what's an Uber for consumable but unsellable food. So it's on a scale where minivans, station wagons, SUVs, pickup trucks can be part of a system that's actually an app called Chow Match. They're volunteer drivers. And a farmer says, I just got done with a farmer's market. I didn't sell this number of crates of apples. I don't really want to compost them. A local food pantry will actually raise their hand on the app and say, we could distribute those later this week. And then one of our volunteers fills in and says, I got the ride. And so you can see there the number of businesses that we've actually worked with, the pounds, and we do have individual volunteers in each county. And so the stats on here are for the Sullivan County, but we do it with Ulster, Orange, Dutchess, all the way up into Columbia. And it really kind of also supplements and complements things like Single Bite and other things already happening on the ground with the food pantry system and the food secure. So it just adds to an ecosystem of another resource to get products into the food system, but not having to go through the whole food bank and kind of larger structure. So that's my quick spiel. The bottom of the page talks about projects that receive state and federal funding that we have relationships with. Often, if it's a program that we are not necessarily putting applications in for businesses, but businesses in our footprint are in the running, the state and other administrators will come to us and say, what do you know about these businesses? Is this a good idea? You know, and that's part of our role too, is to say, oh, we know that business on the ground. They're doing great stuff. You know, here's who you need to talk to, or here's some examples of customers or sourcing that they're doing. And so that's the bottom of the page.
So I have a question.
Sure, Alex.
Okay. We truly appreciate our partnership. And I want to acknowledge, Kristen Foster for a single bite and joining you today. And obviously, I think you're on the board as well. And so I've heard recently where the trajectory of your growth has been phenomenal. I don't think anyone here understands it because we've been together quite a while. So if you speak to that a little bit, I think that's
Yeah, I
real
appreciate
positive.
you recognizing that. So, one of the things that we bring to the table, having started in 2007 and being a unique resource to be doing this, and that unique resource comes from everything from relationships to our 1099 expertise that I mentioned, knowing the attorneys, knowing the accountants, the strategists. But it even goes a little further in the fact that offering the loan program has put us in a category of a community development financial institution. It's actually a U.S. Treasury recognized certification that we have a level of accountability when it comes to community lending. And that accountability has opened us up to manage programs for other funding sources. And I think that's what you're referring to, the meat processing expansion that we manage statewide, going into round 2. but then also the affiliate that we created to work on this, which is the Farm and Food Growth Fund.
And I think that your budget from what it started at, maybe when you began to today, looks very, very different. And I think that's really positive.
I appreciate that. It's very significant in that we administer millions of dollars for the state on statewide level programs. But we still keep the administrative fees and the management really reasonable, which is part of the state working with us. So staying under that 15% cap of what the total program is for the delivery and administration. And what that entails, and I think you guys have had some experience with this in running funding programs like the loans that you do, is creating a application process, having a secure portal, having a way to collect the necessary documents, but keep them confidential and secure, because often it is sensitive financial and personal and business information. And then from there, creating a system to rank and evaluate them, not unlike underwriting. And following that criteria in a very transparent but consistent and neutral way, right?
Yeah,
Very much what
very
you
hard.
guys do here at the IDA.
Very hard.
Whether it's, pilot programs or bonding. And then finally having scores and the teams to put together that are experts on that to give you neutral evaluation. So we have at least 3 individual experts evaluate every single application and come with a process to us that then we put into a summary that starts determining fundability and ranking.
You have lots of eyes looking at you, so you have to kind of be, a little more clinical, and it's tough. But we do appreciate our partnership and relationship. Is there anything other than dollars that we can assist with past what we're doing?
So I think, one of the things we really value on the ground are the relationships that you as board members, but also staff have with the businesses. Whether it's a farm, whether it's a food business, whether it's another nonprofit that's working in this world that helps, the ecosystem of food security and sourcing locally. So number one, just keeping that in mind. Jen is great about kicking projects right into our staff, and you guys are on the ground every day out in the community. The second thing is really thinking about down the road, generational transfer. And this is a long-term project. Walter and I have talked about it, our board and I have talked about it. The majority of agricultural land in New York State is owned by a human being that's somewhere around 69 years old. And we're really going to need to start working to get that in the hands of the next generation so that asset can continue in production. And we're going to have to start thinking outside the box. It's really challenging right now between the financial climate, the market stability, the supply chain fluxes that are happening with costs, which all of our businesses are going through, utility rates. But the next 5 to 10 years is going to be another challenging time for agriculture. And I haven't even thrown in, the climate issues that start to happen when we have individual events. So you guys as a partner on the ground and Sullivan County in general, I think is really part of that solution.
Great. Well, thank you. We do appreciate the relationship. Does anyone have any other questions or thoughts? I think I went over my time, not yours, so.
Listen, you guys know how to get me. We value the relationship. I just want to end on the fact that, we have meat processing projects, we have dairy modernization projects. We're actually working on a food and fiber processing project for the state that has to source from local, but prioritizes getting product into institutional. So like the Center for Discovery would play into something like that.
Shellfish.
We have an aquaculture project on Long Island right now. It's standalone, 40 individual producers getting upgrades for their equipment. So all of that expertise we want to bring into Sullivan County, but we also know that Sullivan County has a role to play in the broader ecosystem. And so we really look at it as reciprocal.
Great. We do too. And thank you. Thank you both for coming. And
Thanks, Kirsten.
Thanks, Howard.
All right.
Anything else you guys just let me know.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Stay safe.
Nice to meet you.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
It's good to see you. How you been? All right.
Kirsten, say hello to Sims for me.
Well,
All
Thanks,
right, guys.
Kirsten.
Thanks.
thank you.
Yeah. She's been an unbelievable benefit to that board. all of her knowledge of food insecurity,
Mhm.
hugely beneficial.
She's only.
Okay, very nice.
Right?
That,
She just joined in the last few months.
yeah, but
Year
you're
and a half
supposed to
ago.
do
Oh,
it,
really?
yeah, somewhat regularly just to keep us kind of, in the know.
Yeah.
Which is good, because we do a lot with them. So we have a resolution, that I want to jump back to as our second order of business, appointing 26 Holland Development LLC and Gelsomino. That, you want to discuss that at all?
Sure, so.
That's the school, correct?
Yes, yep, this is a private early childhood education, like special education program. So we held a public hearing, you received the cost benefit analysis and the project application. Couple of points, there were no attendees at the public hearing, we haven't heard anything from the public about this project. We've been working with the applicants for a couple months to put the application together. So it's about an $8 million total project. It involves financing from Jeff Bank. And the project location is on Old 17 in what was at one time a full paving facility, but was in recent years, actually several years ago, purchased by the Center for Discovery. So this project falls under our encouraging the return of exempt properties to the taxable roll program. So because obviously there'll be these parcels will start being pilots. Does anyone have questions about the project or anything in the application? I wanted to mention that there was one typo in the cost benefit analysis. We've corrected that online. It was not there was just a small typographical error. I
We've
can
talked
tell you
about
about
this
it,
for
but
a number of
we have.
meetings.
So I just want to say that I know several parents who have actually fought to have their children put into this program because it is unlike anything in Sullivan County and something that is a real need for. And I'm excited that we're gonna be able to help them get off the ground because it's something that is the problem is only getting worse, not better, and they are doing a tremendous job.
I would agree with that.
I'd also like to mention that this has been ongoing, as Kathleen mentions, and they're currently leasing the now former closed White Sulphur Springs Elementary School because the Liberty school system consolidated all their elementary schools. And that building is not up to standard and they need to be out of that building by next September. So there's a lot of work to be done here by them to be able to open next September at this location instead of the White Sulphur Springs Elementary School building.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Kathleen? I'll second. Scott, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, so that's carried. Thank you. We have another resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of mortgage to secure loan from Jeff Bank to the North Branch Cider Mills. Anything that we want to discuss about that? Pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty cut and dry. They started a project and not surprisingly, it's costing them more than they thought it was gonna cost them because that seems to be the way of the world. Going well there, so Jeff Bank was agreed to lend them a incremental amount of $300,000 on top of the 500,000 that they borrowed in 2024. Ed, you've been by there. It's vibrant, right? There's people around all the time, North Branch side.
Yeah, the weekends especially.
Yeah. So it's plain vanilla other than that.
Need a motion? Ed,
I'll move it.
No, second.
Ira, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's good. We have another resolution consenting to the transfer of land lease to the Doge family. Any thoughts on what that is for?
We don't really, I don't know the underlying reason, but probably some family planning or something. It's one Doge family entity transferring a piece of real estate to another Doge family entity.
Yeah, that's really not, we don't care that.
We don't care
Why
No.
did they come to us?
because our agreement provides that if they transfer it, they need consent of the IDA. You might feel different if they were transferring it to the Ayatollah.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll make a motion.
Kathleen? Scott, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. We have our last resolution authorizing and approving the termination of rural business development grants awarded. That what is that?
We had an RDBG that never got off the ground. It was for a particular project that never took advantage of the funds, so we need to deobligate them. We never actually got the money from the United States of America because they never did the project. But they're asking us for permission to deobligate those funds.
So this is just, backroom paperwork.
This is backroom paper. This is government at work.
Got it. Need a motion, Ira?
Second. First.
Yeah, and Ed,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, so that was carried. We have any public comments? No, we're good? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna make that.
Yeah.
Scott, anything second?
I did.
All right,
Pleasure.
we're done.
See you next month.
You run a hell of a meeting there, Howard. You're the